Brennan Armstrong is headed to the transfer portal, and no, you shouldn't be surprised. Hi, I'm Chris Graham. We're going to talk about the news. It is Thursday, and the transfer portal doesn't formally open until next Monday. But we kind of expected that there would be some news regarding Virginia football and the transfer portal. Honestly, a few weeks ago, when the season was still ongoing, the thought process was, hey, you'll start seeing announcements probably as soon as the Sunday after this regular season finale at Virginia Tech. And then, of course, the timeline changed for obvious reasons with the tragic shooting deaths, murders of Lavelle Davis Jr., Deshaun Perry, and Devin Chandler on November 13th. The regular season was canceled. The last two games were not played. And the focus of the student athletes was obviously on their fallen teammates staying together, and then the three funeral services. The last of those was yesterday, Wednesday, Lavelle Davis Jr. memorial service down in North Charleston, South Carolina. And, out of respect for all of that, we haven't been writing about the football part of UVA football for a while. I mean, since November 13th, really. And but if we would have been writing about it, you would have seen me write, because we discussions that I had with lots of folks just offline, so to speak. I put Thursday today as the day that you might start seeing announcements made about whoever would be wanting to get into the transfer portal doing so. So am I surprised that Brennan is in the transfer portal? No, I think I wrote a few weeks ago, back during the regular season, which for Virginia ended on November 12th, that it would surprise me more if Armstrong didn't enter the transfer portal. He had all kinds of trouble this year adjusting to the new offense under new coach Tony Elliott, offensive coordinator Des Kitchings. Or maybe rather, a better way to put it would be that Tony Elliott and Des Kitchings had problems trying to figure out how to use a quarterback who a year ago at this time looked like he was headed to the NFL. Last year, Armstrong passed for 4,449 yards, 31 touchdowns, a 156.4 passer rating. He actually put his name into NFL draft consideration. We don't know the exact nature of the word he got back, but he decided to come back. Likely would have been a late round draft pick. We saw Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky, who was, going neck and neck, I should say, with Brennan last year for the national lead in passing yards. Zappi was drafted in the 7th round by the New England Patriots, and he's already started a couple games and looked pretty good in relief of Mac Jones when Jones went down to injury. Also, actually subbed in for him one game when Bill Belichick decided that Jones was just ineffective. Armstrong goes from being a contemporary of a guy who's in the NFL already playing at quarterback and playing well, to being a guy that this year, after, again, 4,449 yards, averaging 404.8 yards a game, 31 touchdowns, 10 INTs, 2,220 yards. So less than half the total. Now, one less game. 7 touchdowns, not 31, a little bit lower. 12 INTs, so more INTs, and a 109.4 passer rating. Also saw his completion percentage drop more than 10 points. He was a 65.2% passer last year, 54.7% this year. And, that's with him being back, his top 2 receivers from last year, Dontavian and Wicks, Keaton Thompson being back, and Davis being back. Davis is not with us anymore. And I still can't believe, when I was writing the story on this, I still can't believe I write those words. This is probably the first UVA football story. And in fact, I'm pretty sure it is the first UVA football story I've written since November 13th. And that's the first time I've had to write about Lavelle in that context. That's really weird. So he competed, Armstrong did, as a grad student at UVA in 2022. Because of the COVID redshirt year given to players, student athletes who were active during the COVID years, he has 1 extra year of eligibility left. So, boy, I won't even want to speculate, even though I want to start speculating, because I won't want to try to act like I know where he's going to go. I would assume that an offense that is similar to the one he learned at Virginia under Robert Anae and Jason Beck, a sort of a modified air raid offense. That's what Anae took and Beck took with them up to Syracuse when they left here, and here being Virginia and Charlottesville. Syracuse could be a place. I mean, they've got an entrenched starting quarterback, but who knows what the situation could be there. Certainly, other schools that have a similar type offense. Also, the fact that Armstrong is a native of Shelby, Ohio. You could look in that general Midwest area. I wasn't going to say Ohio State. I really wasn't. Ohio U, but also Cincinnati is an AAC program that has been very competitive at the top of the AAC, and last year was in the playoff. I wouldn't be surprised to see if there was some interest there. I think a new coach is going to be in place there. Luke Fickell, I believe, is now at Wisconsin. Hadn't really been paying a lot of attention to the college football world, the actual football part of football for the last few weeks, but I do think I've read that story. So those could be possibilities. I mean, really, I think a guy like Armstrong, if I'm a coach, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and I'm in a situation where I'm looking for a quarterback, I don't worry too much about the numbers he put up this year under Des Kitchings, an offensive coordinator who's probably about to be on his way out. If not, something else is wrong with the Tony Elliott administration, I guess we can call it. But Kitchings was a reach in the first place as a hire for offensive coordinator, and the fact that he just run off a guy that is going to play in the NFL, pretty sure, is not a good sign for him. But yeah, if I were a coach somewhere else, I wouldn't be thinking about this year as Brennan Armstrong's potential. I'd be looking at the last couple of years. 2020, I put up good numbers. 2021, great numbers. And again, especially if I'm a coach who runs some version of the air raid, I would be giving a lot of consideration to having Brennan come in for 1 year. But it wouldn't surprise me to see him do something like, go to a big name Power 5 school, and a coach there try to work the magic with him. So that is the word, though. That's the first of maybe probably many names from this Virginia roster that will be on their way out the door. Probably some big names that it would shock me more, again, just like with Armstrong. It would shock me more if you don't see more big names deciding to step away, at least particularly on the offensive side of the ball. The defense, the defense may stay around. They had a great thing going with John Ruzinski and his assistant coaches. But on the offensive side of the ball, it's in such disarray. And then you factor in, and if in case you're thinking, Chris, do you think this has anything to do with what happened on November 13th? I think that Armstrong was probably moving in this direction well before November 13th. I don't think November 13th would have had any impact on him in this respect at all. I mean, if anything, it may have made him think he, wanted to stay a little more. Maybe that made it a little harder to make the decision to decide to leave. But, word I'm hearing is that, there even before November 13th, there had been concern about a possible mass exodus from this program, given the way year one went under Tony Elliott. And from what I'm hearing, the November 13th events have only hastened the desire of a number of student athletes in the program to at least give strong consideration to leaving. So that is the situation in Charlottesville with UVA football, and this is probably just the first domino to fall of what could be quite a few, and this is the biggest one. Brennan Armstrong is headed on his way out. So for more on this story and also keeping up with, we got alerts set to keep us up to date, so we can keep you up to date on UVA football and the comings and goings. Go to AugustaFreePress.com, and we will promise to keep you up to date. If you have any questions, any news tips, anything like that in the sports realm or elsewhere, email me at chris@AugustaFreePress.com.